last minute revision biology class. So in this class today, we are going to look at the most repeated questions on endocrine system. Remember, we just finished discussing the entire topic on endocrine system. So for those of you that want the full video to the lesson, be sure to inbox me. The number will be on the screen. Yeah, so what will we cover in this last minute revision question session? So in this video, we'll just focus on the questions which you are expecting in your endocrine topic. So make sure that you apply what I taught you in those two lessons on endocrine. I have part 1 and part 2 videos. So be sure to inbox for the links to the video. So now in this video we are going to solve now section B questions, and we'll also look at some of the essay questions which you are expected to find on this topic. So to begin, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and comment your next topic which you want to be helped with, and also share the video to your friends. So let's begin. So figure 2.1 and figure 2.2 shows endocrine gland. So this is the gland Q, sorry. So yeah, so figure 2.1 and 2.2 show two endocrine glands labeled P and Q respective. So this is figure 2.1 and this is figure 2.2. So this is the area. Yeah, so now this is a diagram representing two endocrine glands. Remember, I told you how many endocrine glands should you remember? You should remember 5. So the first one should be the pituitary gland. Then the second one should be the adrenal gland. Then we also have the pancreas. We also have the thyroid gland. We also have the ovaries, the testes. Yeah, so these are some of the glands which you do know for your exams. But the most important one which you should remember are, you need to know the pituitary gland, the adrenal gland, and this. So these 4 are the top important glands which you should do know. So now getting back to our question. So among these glands which I've mentioned, which glands are the ones which are represented here? So our first question is asking us to identify the endocrine glands P and Q. So how can you identify these glands? So these glands, for you to identify them, you have to know where the location which they are found. Remember, in the video I showed you the locations. So we have our first gland, which is the adrenal gland. So I said the adrenal gland is located at the top of the kidney. So if we see that, oh, these are kidneys, meaning our gland P is what? The adrenal gland, which is at the top of the kidney. So this is how you can know that this is the adrenal gland which they are talking about. Whenever you hear the word kidney, whatever gland is associated to the kidney is what? The adrenal gland. Now moving on to gland Q. How can you identify that this is gland Q? So remember, gland Q looks like what? A leaf. So whenever you see something which looks like a leaf, just know that they are talking about The pancreas. So the pancreas has a shape of a leaf. So meaning our gland Q is the pancreas. Yeah. So once you do like this, meaning you have solved your question 1, you have gotten your 2 marks. Moving on to our question 2. State one hormone produced by each gland. So remember, we said that the adrenal gland basically produces a hormone which is known as adrenaline. Yeah. So how can you remember? So adrenaline from adrenal. So just remember that from adrenal gland, just add line, meaning the adrenal gland produces what? Adrenaline, which is also known as the what? The fight or flight hormone. So this is the hormone which is responsible for getting you into fights when you are hungry, for making you to run when you see something scary. This is the hormone, the adrenaline, produced by the adrenal gland, located at the top of the kidney. This is what you need to remember on the adrenal gland. Now, hormone produced by Q. Remember, I told you that the pancreas produces 2 hormones. So, when we are talking about hormones produced by the pancreas, so we have 2 hormones which are produced by the pancreas. We have insulin and glucagon. So these are the 2 hormones which you need to remember whenever you hear the word pancreas. So the pancreas as an endocrine organ, it produces insulin and glucagon. So here you can pick any. You can either pick insulin or glucagon. So I've explained what insulin and glucagon can do in a video where I talked about insulin and glucagon. Be sure to check it on my channel. Yeah. So moving on to our answer. So hormone produced by gland Q, which is the pancreas, you can either say insulin or glucagon. So here, don't put 2, just go with one which you remember. If you remember insulin, put insulin. If you remember glucagon, put glucagon. Moving on to our question 3. Explain how the hormone produced by gland P stated in A to above play a role in coordination. So now they are asking you, how does the adrenaline hormone help you to coordinate the movement of your body? How does it help? So we are talking about the adrenal gland. So how does this gland help you in coordination? So the adrenaline, we said that it is produced by what? By the adrenal gland. Yeah, so we said that once it is produced by the adrenal gland, it does what? It boosts the changing of glycogen to glucose. It basically increases the energy levels in your body. So whenever you hear the word adrenaline, you have to think about all the organs which are responsible in increasing energy in your body. What are those organs? So we have the liver, which is responsible for converting glycogen to glucose. We have the heart. I said it increases the heart rate. We have the lungs, where I said it does what? It increases the what? The breathing rate. Then we also have the eyes, where it dilates the pupil so that you are alert to danger. So these are some of the what? Of the changes or of the law it plays in coordination. So how can you write now here? How can you explain the what? So how can you explain now the law? So you can say now like you. So the hormone produced by gland P. So you can say that it acts on the, you write the organs, it acts on the organs like the heart, liver, lungs, and eyes. So we are saying that it acts on how many organs? The heart, liver, lungs, and the eyes. So it does different things to these 4 organs. So now what can you say? So the first thing in general, just say in general. So in general, it does what? It increases the heart rate, breathing rate, and the conversion of glycogen to glucose. That's so. So once you say like this, meaning you have explained how adrenaline plays a role in what? In coordination. It acts on organs like the heart, the liver, lungs, and eyes. And it increases the what? The heart rate of the heart, the breathing rate in lungs, and the conversion of glycogen to glucose in the liver. You have explained to them. Moving on to our part B. Explain the other role played by gland Q apart from producing hormones. So remember I said gland what? Q. So we are talking about the pancreas. So remember that the pancreas is both an endocrine and exocrine gland, meaning it works on coordination and it also works in the digestive system. So here now they are saying the other role. So meaning here they want you to explain how the pancreas plays a role in digestion. So you can say that the pancreas is, so the pancreas, so you can say that the pancreas produces pancreatic juice. So what is pancreatic juice? So pancreatic juice contains enzymes such as amylase, lipase, and also protease. So what are these enzymes? So these 3 enzymes, they are responsible for, so the pancreas produces pancreatic juice containing amylase, lipase, and protease, responsible for digestion of carbohydrates, lipids, and proteins in the duodenum. So remember, the pancreatic juice, once it is released from the pancreas, it is released into the duodenum, not the stomach. So you have to understand this process. Then what does the pancreatic juice contains? Amylase, lipase, and protease. So responsible for, so amylase is responsible for the digestion of carbohydrate. lipase responsible for the digestion of lipids, and protease responsible for the digestion of protein. So this was our first revision questions which you can expect on the topic of endocrine. Moving on to our second question. Question 3. So question 3 is saying complete the table 3.1 by filling in the blank spaces. So this is another way, or this is how you should be expecting questions on what? On endocrine system. They just don't come straightforward. So they come like this. So you need to also understand how questions come. Because if you just read through notes, if a question comes like this, I guarantee you won't know how to go about it. But by going through this last minute revision, you will know how to solve questions in biology. So here, this table is showing us a hormone, the source, and the action. So I've seen the important to know where the hormone is originating from. So the first question, it was asking about the glands. This question is asking about the hormones. So you see, they can either bring about glands or hormones or their functions in a part. So that is the 3 parts on endocrine system which you need to revise. So before I solve, let me tell you what you need to focus on as you are revising your endocrine topic. So the first part you need to focus on is the glands. Know the glands and what they produce. The second thing are the hormones. Know each and every hormone and their functions. Yeah, so I told you the hormones which you need to pay attention in my video, so make sure you watch them, or make sure you inbox me, you get a link to the full video so that you can watch them at your own free time, because time is running out. You have less than 2 weeks to write your biology. These are the questions which you are supposed to be going through. So now, getting back to our question. So the question is saying complete the table 3.1 by filling in the blank spaces. So we can see that this table has the hormone, the source, and the action. So first thing you have to do what? You have to fill in the hormone which is produced by the source, and you also have to fill in the action of these two hormones. So when you come to the first one, you see, oh, here we have the source, which is the ovary. You have to be careful. The ovary produces a lot of hormones like estrogen and progesterone. So these are the two hormones which are produced by the ovaries. So now you have to come here. What is the function of that hormone? Begins rebuilding of the lining of the uterus. So once you hear that, oh, it is the rebuilding of the lining of the uterus, meaning it is estrogen. So here you write estrogen. So estrogen is responsible for the rebuilding of the uterus wall, and the shedding of the uterus of the wall is responsible by what? Progesterone. So progesterone is responsible for the shedding of the uterus. Estrogen responsible for the building of the lining. Moving on to our B, we have thyroxine, thyroid gland. So here they are asking us the function of thyroxine. I told you thyroxine is responsible in what? Controlling the basal metabolic rate. Yeah, So once you write like this, meaning you have written the action of the thyroxine. So it controls the basal metabolic rate in our bodies. It increases the conversion of energy. Moving on, what is the hormone produced by the adrenal gland and what is its function? So remember, the adrenal gland produces an important hormone known as fight or flight or adrenaline. Yeah. Then what is the function of adrenaline? So the function of adrenaline is to do what? To prepare the body for fight or flight response. Yeah. So this hormone basically produces your body for a fight or flight response. A response where you can run or stay and fight. An example I can give you of a fight or flight response is a response where, for example, you see a lion. So in that case, your adrenal gland will release adrenaline and it will tell you to run because the lion will kill you. In some cases, you are angry with your friend, your adrenaline will tell you to fight. Yeah. So remember, whenever you are angry, you are just under the influence of adrenaline. So that's why they say wait until you are calm so that you can make a decision. When you are calm, meaning your hormone levels are reduced. But those decisions made in a rush, you are excited, sad, they are made under the influence of a hormone. That's why they say wait until you are calm. Yeah. So moving on to part B. What happens to the hormones after completing their action in the target organs? So once the hormones now they have finished their function in the body, they have increased your fight or flight, maybe you have learned or you have fought. Now what happens? Because if that hormone remains in your body, you will remain in that state for a longer period. If you are angry, you remain angry until the hormone is what? Removed. So now they're asking what happens. So they are broken down or inactivated and excreted by the kidney. Yeah. So meaning these enzymes they are broken down or inactivated by the liver. So the liver is the one which inactivates them. Then the kidney does what? Excretes them through urine. So this is how the hormones are removed from your body so that you can get back to normal once they are done. So moving on to our C. State two ways in which hormones and nerve impulses differ in controlling body processes. So, how does a hormone and a nerve impulse differ? So, the first thing you need to know that a hormone is a chemical, whilst a nerve impulse is an electrical. So a hormone is a chemical messenger, while a nerve impulse is an electrical messenger. That's the first thing which you need to know. Then the second thing is a hormone is transported by the blood, while A nerve impulse is transported by nerves or nerve fiber. So that is also another difference which you need to know between an hormone and the nerve. So don't worry, the nerve and the nerve impulse, we'll look at them when we look at the last minute revision again on what? On the nervous system. So we are going to look at the top 9 essay questions which I posted. All those questions we are going to talk about them, the last minute revision. So here, the second difference which you can say is that when we are talking about hormone response are generally slow. So hormone response, they are slow and long lasting. So you can say that hormone response are slow and long lasting, while nerve impulse are rapid and short-lived. Yeah. So when you're talking about the nerve impulse, these are the messages the brain uses. So for you to produce those movements, they have to be fast and rapid compared to hormones. That's why hormones can last for a longer period. Yeah. For example, when you are stressed, so a stress hormone is known as cortisol. So cortisol is also produced when you are stressed. So it lasts longer. That's why when you are stressed, it lasts longer. So moving on to our question 3 and our final question, which you are supposed to expect on the endocrine system on section A, is this one. So we have, it says some married couples fail to have children due to females' failure to produce ova. In such cases, female fertility drugs containing a hormone are taken. So whenever females are failing to produce ova, which are ovaries or eggs in other words, they are referred to, or they are changed to, drugs which contains hormones. So we say that there are some hormones which affect the ovaries. So in our case, they are asking us, name the hormone that stimulates the production of ova. So what is the hormone which stimulates the production of ova? If you remember, in my pituitary gland, or in my first video, we said that the pituitary gland releases a hormone which is known as the follicle stimulating hormone, known as FSH. So this is the hormone which is responsible for the production of the ova or the ova, those eggs. Yeah. Then suggest why this treatment can result in the birth of many babies at once. So before we go to this one, you have to know that this hormone, which is produced, the follicle stimulating hormone, is produced by the pituitary gland, located where? At the base of the brain. So remember, we have solved how many questions in just one? We have solved 3. They can ask you, what gland produces this hormone? You can say pituitary gland. Where is it located? At the base of the brain. So in case they bring any other question apart from naming the hormone you can write. So now moving on to part B. Suggest why this treatment can result in the birth of many babies. So this follicle stimulating hormone can result in the production of many babies in the case that it produces and releases a lot of ova or eggs at once. So this hormone releases a lot of ova or eggs at once, which increases the chances of multiple fertilization. So if there are a lot of multiple fertilization, meaning you have a lot of babies. So these are some of the questions which you are expected to find on what? On the endocrine system. So now what are some of the essay questions? So some of the essay questions are